Welcome to The Source, where we combine the headlines with in-depth conversations with the newsmakers themselves. I'm Pinky Webb. Today on the program, as more presidential aspirants weigh in on the issue of vote buying, Vice President Leni Robredo clarifies her stand. The Commission on Elections wants to impose a fine for nuisance candidates, and the campaign guidelines for the 2022 elections will be out soon. Comelec spokesperson James Jimenez joins us live. And later, the government will roll out booster shots for priority groups next month. Vaccine expert panel member Dr. Ronchin Solante tells us more live. Vice President Leni Robredo clarifies her stand on vote buying, saying she is against it, but what she is sharing are realities that happen on the ground. The Commission on Elections maintains a vote buying is a violation of election laws and should not be even suggested to voters. Let's go straight to the source of the story. We have Comelec spokesperson James Jimenez. Director James, welcome to The Source. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, Director James, this talk on vote buying, and let's not forget, it's vote buying and it's vote selling. Hindi ba ho?
Yes.
May vote buying at merong vote selling. Ang vote buying, ang kandidato na bumibili ng boto, ang vote selling, yung botante na tumatanggap. Okay, so right. Let's start with a basic question. Is the mere fact of somebody accepting money from somebody else, would that be illegal? Tumanggap ka ng pera?
Yes. Yes. Under the Omnibus Election Code, it says that it's an election offense to receive any expenditure of that nature. No? So, pag tumanggap ka ng perang ibinigay sa'yo para sa boto mo, then definitely that is an offense.
Paano, Director James, pag sabihin na, hindi naman direktang sabihin na iboto mo to, pero nagkakaintindihan yung tao at kung sino man yung bigay ng pera na yun ang patutunguhan ng perang ibibigay sa'yo. But it's not said explicitly.
Well, yan nga po ang dahilan kung bakit mahirap patunayan ang vote buying. Kasi kailangan mo ipakita through evidence and probably through testimony na talagang yon ang idea sa likod ng pagbibigay ng pera or anything of value. Kasi yun po ang tinitingnan natin eh. What we're looking at really is the intent to exchange the promise of a vote for something of value. Palitan tayo. And you have to prove na kahit hindi man nasabi yung mga katagang iboto mo ako, yun pa rin ang intensyon ng transaction.
Paano pag tinanggap mo yung pera, pero hindi mo naman binoto yung kandidatong yon? Would that excuse me? Yan
nga po ang palaging namimiss ng mga tao. Na wala pong kinalaman yung batas dun sa finally gagawin mo, dun sa perang tinanggap mo. Ang offense mo, yung election offense, pag tinanggap mo, kapalit ng boto mo. Yung pagtanggap pa lang, krimen na yon. Hindi na kailangang umabot sa puntong boboto ka ng ayon dun sa pinagkasunduan ninyo, kasi pwede mo naman siyang traidorin, di ba? Totoo naman yan. Pero, ang offense is receiving the money, right? Receiving the expenditure or pagtanggap nung ibinigay sa'yo kapalit ng boto mo.
Okay,
yun ang offense. So,
the mere fact,
nagkamali ka na.
The mere fact na tumanggap ka, you are liable under the law.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, pagka yung sinabi ho kasi ni VP Leni Robredo na you can accept it but vote according to your conscience, yung palang sinasabi nyo, illegal na yon. Whether you vote for that particular candidate or not. Comelec former Comelec chairman Christian Monsod also said, it's okay to do that. In fact, he said it goes back to Cardinal Sin almost saying the same thing.
That's right. And I unfortunately agree, even with Cardinal Sin, because again, the thing here is that a lot of people are invoking practicality. Okay? I'm not talking about the practicality of it. It might be practical to cross at a red light, but you're not supposed to do it pa rin. Tama? It might be practical to like run the red light if you're driving, but you're not supposed to do it anyway. So that's the thing, you see. The law says it's prohibited to accept money. Why are we telling people that it's okay to accept money?
Clearly for you, it's not okay to accept money, whether you vote for the candidate or not, because as you mentioned a while ago, first and foremost, it's illegal.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
true. That's the point. And
Director
I
James.
really have to disagree with anyone who says otherwise.
So, pero sa ngayon, because we know that the election season has not started, the official election season for national candidates that starts on February. For local, that starts in March. Okay. Ngayong makatanggap yung tao ng pera, is there anything wrong with that? Sabihin po natin yung
Kasi
ginagawa
nga,
ni
hindi
Senator
sila
Manny
covered.
Pacquiao.
Wala po. Kasi hindi pa sila, number one, the candidate is not an official candidate. We just know he's a candidate because he filed the COC. But under the law, he's not an official candidate. Pangalawa, that's not even covered yet because nga, the laws that affect candidate will only affect them at the start of the campaign period. So, wala pa.
Okay. So, sinasabi nyo nga po illegal ito. So, meron ho bang naging culpability o liability si Vice President Leni Robredo for saying she does not condone vote buying, but then sinabi nga niya, kapag may mag-offer, tanggapin nyo dahil pera din naman to ng taong bayan, but vote according to your conscience. Is she liable now?
Well, I don't see any liability for her now. No, I think it was not something that should have been said, but in terms of criminal liability, I don't really see it.
Opo. Kasi ang sinasabi po ata ni senatorial aspirant Larry Gadon, Comelec should probe the Vice President for encouraging vote buying. To that you say what?
To that, I would say that then we would have to probe everyone who ever said that. And remember, it's not just one person who has said that. Multiple candidates have actually said that. So probe namin lahat. Should we probe, I don't know, Christian Monsod also? Because he said that also. Again, it's really a question of what you believe as an individual. No, if you think it's a good idea, then say so. Why not? But I disagree. As far as the Comelec is concerned, that is against the law.
Oh, so I'll go back to presidential aspirant Manny Pacquiao. Yung pamimigay po niya ng pera, yung pamimigay po na niya ng mga bigas and other goods. Right now, you don't see anything wrong with that.
Well, we see something wrong with that, obviously, no, in the sense that you know that it's gonna impact how people think about elections, how people are gonna decide. But under the law, there's not anything we can do about it because again, it is still not against the law. Wala pa yan, hindi pa yan vote buying.
Opo. Does it become vote buying in February when the official campaign season begins?
Well, if they do it then yes, that would be vote buying. Absolutely.
Ibig sabihin, Director James, kapag mangyari po ito, yung ginagawa ni Senator Manny Pacquiao ngayon, pag umpisa ng campaign season, clearly illegal na po yun.
Kung malinaw po, no, kung mapapatunayan at malinaw na ginagawa yan kapalit ng boto, then yes, there is a case to be made for vote buying. There is a case to be made for vote buying. Remember, ang depensa po naman ng mga gumagawa niyan, especially those who do it in the open, is that they're doing it for humanitarian purposes. So,
That's right.
Yeah, definitely magkakaroon ng due process diyan. Magkakaroon ng pagkakataon na dumepensa yung mga gumagawa. But again, sa ordinaryong pananaw ng tao, pag nakita na yan, sasabihin na yan, vote buying yan.
Okay, so hindi po, am I getting it right? Hindi po malinaw that if let's just say a presidential candidate na by February does this, it's not clear that this would be illegal because they can use a defense such as tulong po ito sa kapwa Pilipino.
No, linawin lang natin, Ms. Pinky, no? They can raise any defense they want and that's their right. Pero kung malinaw naman na vote buying yan, tatawaging vote buying yan, no? Ang sinasabi ko lang dito is that candidates have a lot of defenses available to them, and they will say that, and they have in fact said that before. Pag ginawa nila yan, pag namigay sila ng pera during the campaign period, that
Mm-mm.
will really be considered vote buying, but
Mhm.
it will have to be proven. Kailangan patunayan, magkaka-due process. So, dyan mo makikita yung mga defenses nila.
I see. Kasi meron silang, kumbaga, you're saying there will be excuses or defenses that will be used for giving out money. I'll give you an example, Director James. Pag sabihin po natin, unfortunately, meron pong nasunugan. Okay. Pumunta po yung kandidato doon. Election season na po, nag-umpisa na po yung February election season. Namigay po yung isang kandidato ng pera doon. Kayo ho ba, will the Comelec probe that particular candidate for vote buying?
There's a possibility na gawin yan. Unless there is an actual humanitarian crisis na kailangan tugunan, then that might have an impact on that decision. Pero again, cannot speculate. Titingnan natin kung ano mangyari and paano mangyayari pagdating ng panahon.
Ngayon, yung vote buying na sinasabi at vote selling that we first talked about, how difficult is it to prove this? Because sometimes, ang sasabihin po, wala namang ebidensya. Hindi ho ba? This is just my, I'm just sharing my thoughts. Ang kandidato ho kasi, kung gustong bumili ng boto, gusto nila ng ebidensya na 50%, ang balita, 50% bibigyan ka bago ka bumoto. Tapos pag boto mo, papakitaan mo ng ebidensya yung kandidato o kung sino man yung naglakad para doon sa kandidato to prove that you actually voted for that particular candidate. So yan ho ba binabantayan o papaano na lang? How will the Comelec guard against something like this and how difficult is it?
Well, binabantayan po talaga natin yan. Kaya nga, pinagbabawal natin, number 1, ang pagsiselfie with the ballot. Pangalawa, pagsiselfie with the voting receipt. Pangatlo, yung paglabas ng voting receipt from the polling place. If you remember, yung makina natin, naglalabas yan ng resibo. No? Pinapakita natin sa botante yan para makita niya lumabas yung boto niya, pero hindi natin pinapayagang litratuhan or ilabas. So, kasi yan ang ginagamit na resibo. Other than that, wala namang paraan.
Okay, so yun, bawal po yan. So kumbaga hindi magkakaroon ng ebidensya.
Yes po, hindi magkakaroon ng ebidensya.
All right. Okay, so we just one question, Director James, coming from Twitter. Yes, vote buying is an election offense, ang sabi po. Can Comelec brag about even one single conviction in the last decade?
Yes.
Sabi pa, let alone the last century.
Yes, meron.
Hindi ka pa buhay noon.
As late as 2014, meron kami napatanggal sa pwesto. I wish people would do a little research, before they come up with challenges like that. Because really, it is a matter of record. Meron na natanggal sa pwesto. I mean, it probably doesn't make national news because it really is a local phenomenon. So, there you go.
Who was convicted in 2014 due to vote buying, sir?
It was a local official. We don't normally say the name, but it is a matter of record. So if you ask, you'll find it in Comelec.
All right. We'll be taking a very short break. This is The Source on CNN Philippines. Please stay tuned. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. I'm Pinky Webb. Our guest today, Comelec spokesperson James Jimenez. Director James, the presidential debate. Napag-uusapan na rin po ito. Any decision from the Comelec? Will this be face-to-face among candidates? Will this be done online?
Well, it will be face-to-face among candidates. Yesterday, there's a lot of talk about it being online, and people were kind of concerned that online meant the candidates would be virtual as well. No, they wouldn't be. Candidates will be in the same place. They will be debating in person, but the audience will be virtual.
Opo. So ang nandun lang po sa venue will obviously be the candidates, yung mga kanilang kasama, and the moderators, and of course the crew.
That's right.
Opo. Ilan pong debate for president? How many presidential debates are you looking at? Isa lang ho.
Well, there'll be we have three presidential debates as a general rule, right? Last elections, we had one vice presidential debate, which CNN hosted. This time, we are hoping to expand the number of vice presidential debates, seeing as how vice presidents are elected independently of the president. No? So they might deserve their own debate series. So we're looking to have essentially six debates, three for president and three for vice president.
Okay, so sigurado na po yan. Again, a clarification, this will be face-to-face among the candidates. Ang audience lang po ang magiging virtual. Now, very quickly, let's talk about the substitution. There are already House bills banning substitution unless, of course, caused by death or even disqualification. Kayo po and does the Comelec have an official stand on this? Should this be banned already?
Well, you see, substitution is provided for by law. So it's a little difficult to see a justification for it being banned. Una-una, there's no damage really to the electoral system if substitution happens. But again, because of how it's being used now, maybe there is room for some sort of regulation. But an outright ban would probably not be ideal.
Let me clarify that ban, pero papayagan po ang, of course, substitution kung meron po namatay po or na-disqualify.
Right. But that's allowed now. That's allowed now. No? Ang imo-modify nila is yung substitution by reason of withdrawal, which is to say voluntary withdrawal. That's until November 15 this year. Right. And that's what I think lawmakers are looking to legislate on. Of course, Comelec will abide by whatever Congress comes up with. But again, just to emphasize, substitution for voluntary withdrawals is still a necessary remedy, particularly for the political parties.
Right. But for you personally, do you think this should be amended already to take out the voluntary withdrawal for substitution?
No, I don't think it should. Because if you take out the ability for a party to substitute against a voluntary withdrawal, then in effect, you're holding the party hostage to the whim of the candidate. Right? If the candidate files a COC under pretense of good faith and then later on says, ayoko na, you're going to leave the political party high and dry. So that's not fair.
I see. You know, I'll be honest with you. I thought you would say that you would be for the amending the substitution law because
I'm disappointing a lot of people nowadays, I guess.
Hindi, but Director James, kasi nga pinapahaba pa, hindi ba? Yung kasi right now until November 15 ang substitution, instead na ma-finalize yun na po yung mga pangalan sa balota, ma-print na po yan, nagkakaroon po ng delay because of the substitution.
Well, we don't see it as a delay because it is built into our timeline, right? It is allowed because it is built into our timeline, again, because it is required by law.
Pero yung sinasabi po nila na mockery of elections, yung pong mga nagfa-file ng kanilang COC as mere placeholders, you don't believe that?
Well, kasi that's again something that needs to be proven through due process, right? You can't just rely on someone saying that I'm a placeholder and then that's it. Hindi po. You have to prove na talagang yun ang intention niya. Because remember, statements can change, right? And statements on media and in whatever interview, they're not under oath, right? So they're not as trustworthy as if they were said under oath in front of an appropriate body and in a hearing. So hindi po natin ma-assume na walang good faith intention to run for public office ang tao.
In relation to this, yung tinatawag naman pong mga nuisance candidates, there is also a bill on this seeking a 100,000, if I'm not mistaken, penalty for nuisance candidates. So what is the stand of Comelec on this?
Well, as far as that's concerned, the Comelec is in favor of that because that's essentially a sort of warning against people who intend to play around with the system, right? So before they even make a declaration that they're running for office, they're already aware that there will be consequences if their declaration is in bad faith. So we think that that's a good idea because it's essentially a warning against wrongdoing.
Just one last issue I wanted to take up with you, Director James. Ito pong campaign guidelines, I read that this will be released soon. What kind of changes or modifications can we expect with the new or the modified campaign guidelines?
Well, the most prominent feature of it, as far as I am looking at the review of it that's ongoing right now, the most prominent feature I see is that we will be regulating the number of people who can participate in in-person campaigns, right? And then it's likely going to be determined in large part by the alert level in a particular place. So we are going to systematize that so that we have rules to apply all over the country that will define how many people can be in an in-person campaigning entourage at any given place.
All right. Thank you so much, Comelec spokesperson, Director James Jimenez.
Thank you.
And coming up, booster shots for priority groups in November. Vaccine expert panel member Dr. Ronchi Salante will be joining us after the break. This is The Source on CNN Philippines. Please stay tuned.